So, when did you first discover that I had Asperger's syndrome, and what was your reaction to it?
Well, go ahead.
Well, we noticed in preschool and early grades that you had kindergarten, you had some issues in social situations. And your first grade teacher told us that she had had another student who exhibited a lot of the same symptoms, and she thought that we should have you evaluated, and that's when they decided that you had Asperger's syndrome. I guess in some ways it was a little bit of a relief because you were our first kid, and we didn't know what we were doing anyway. So in some ways, it felt like at least we had information to know how to move forward.
Okay. So I vaguely remember in the past there was a time when I think I was on some kind of medication of the sort. I remember you putting it in the pudding and me eating it. Was that for the Asperger's syndrome? And if so, would you say it would be effective or not? And
It was Zoloft, and it was a medication that basically the psychiatrist described it as it takes the edge off.
Helped you deal with anxiety.
It helped you deal with anxiety because that was a lot of your issue was anxiety and just emotional control.
okay.
The Zoloft seemed to level you out a little bit. It didn't really. You still had emotional responses, but it wasn't as extreme. And you had a tendency when you were very, very young, we used to call it lock up. If you got really, really upset, you couldn't speak, you couldn't move, you were just so upset, you were just locked up. And the Zoloft really helped with that.
So, I personally believe that going to public schools actually was a good thing for me because it helped me deal with stressful situations. I guess I'm just wondering if there was a reason why you decided to send me to a public school instead of like a special one that was like for special kids.
Well, pretty much for the reason that you just said was that we felt like as much as we could keep you in the mainstream, then you would be, not only you, but we together, would need to find ways for you to live in the mainstream, and that would serve you best in the long run. And your condition, autism is a spectrum, and you are really very high functioning compared to some other autistic people. So it seemed like we could do it and that we should do it.
Okay. And looking back, what do you think was the most important parts of how you raised me to function in society as a proper adult, and what suggestions would you maybe give to other parents who have who have kids with Asperger's?
Well, as Christine just said, it's a all autism is a spectrum, and all Asperger's is a spectrum. Advice that I would give other people with children that have special needs with Asperger's is recognizing that putting you into situations where you are learning to come up with coping mechanisms and learning to interact with mainstream society, whatever that means, just society, to be a functioning adult, you have to be in those situations.
I think the biggest thing I would say to parents, especially, because it's hard as a parent, you want everything to be perfect, but every kid is different whether they have Asperger's syndrome or they don't, and you follow your best instincts and don't be pressured by society. Do what you know is right for your kid.
And it's part of your job as a parent to protect your child, and it's your instinct as a parent to protect your child. But you also have to put your child in situations that is going to be stressful to the child and therefore stressful to you, so that the child can learn how to deal with that stress, whatever their special situation may be. And that's really what it's all about is learning how to cope.